Alright dudes, one rare champion for every single faction that you just got a 6-star. Well, if your account needs it, but the most likely rare champion for every faction that you just got a 6-star. And you know what, man? There's a lot of crappy rare champs, my god, in the Bannerlords faction. Some people might lean towards Dagger. She is so squishy, right? Doesn't even have 800 defense, 12k health. Oh my god, dude. And you know what else about Dagger as well? Yes, she's got the A2 that provides a strong decreased defense, and that's all grand, but look at this, man. Even fully booked, it's a 75% chance. It's a Void Rare? Are you kidding me, dude? Like, War Maiden is better than this Void Rare? Like, come on, dude. I don't know, man. I think that if there's one rare here that you gotta pick up and max out to 60, or at least level 50, you can't go far wrong with Valerie. She, of course, has the increase the duration of all buffs and all allies by 110 on her A2, which is amazing, right? These kind of skills, you can't underestimate these. They always find amazing value everywhere. She's solid into faction wars with the shield and the healing and A3. That's all fine. But I think that Valerie, people would have generally said, oh, just leave her at level 50 and you'll get some value out of her, and that's fine. But now that the Wixwell clan boss team is a thing, and Valerie is a very, very good option for running the Infinity Shield Wixwell clan boss team, I feel like more people are now more leaning towards the idea of just, well, you're going to be using her for a long, long time to come. You might as well max her up to level 60. She can do a job for you in that clan boss team, even at level 50, and mine is actually still level 50 at this time, and it's okay. I have to manual the fight sometimes just to get the first, like, 10 or 15 turns down, and then I can leave it on auto from then on, which is a bit annoying, and that's partially because my Valerie is still level 50, so I might just go ahead and take her up to 60 myself. It's either that or find a better shield set to slam on Valerie as well. I'm only running one shield set in my Wixwell clan boss team, which might be my problem, but there it is. Valerie is going to be my pick for Bannerlords. Now, High Elves, man. Now is a good time to mention that I'm not going to cover Elhain. I'm going to avoid the starter champs as much as I possibly can, but if Elhain is your starter champ, of course you're going to be taking her up to level 16, no doubt. Eris can be great for clan boss. Apothecary is pretty goddamn solid, and to be honest, I think Apothecary would be a lot of people's pick for the level 60 rare for High Elves, but for me, I think I'm going to lean more towards Reliquary Tender. And the reason for this is while Apothecary's plus speed is great, right? He brings strong increased speed on your entire team, a little bit of healing, stuff like that. Well, Reliquary Tender brings remove all debuffs from all allies, and then a little bit of additional healing on top of that, as well as a revive. And I just feel like these two tools, like, realistically, I'm coming at this from the point of view of more of a beginner player. Which champ would you rather have? I think that Apothecary is great when you're first starting out, but I feel like Reliquary Tender, as you're starting to progress through things like Doom Tower and stuff like that, I feel like she's just going to find much, much more value for you. And I also feel like Revivers just tend to stick around and get use on your account for much, much longer, right? Of course, you'll eventually grab Arbiter for your High Elves as well for things like faction wars, and so this revive on Reliquary Tender might start to drop off a little bit, but even then, for like rare secret rooms and stuff, she's still going to find pretty immense value. And yeah, remove all debuffs for Doom Tower. I feel like multiple fights, it's just really, really good. And I'm just now realizing that I should probably throw the disclaimer in here that some of this is going to be down to opinion and what your account needs, obviously. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of disagreement, I think, on some of these picks. But yeah, both fantastic champs, Apothecary and Reliquary. Before we get onto the Sacred Order, just a quick reminder about our promo code down below at the top of the video description, man. Well, it's actually a promo link. Click on that link to kickstart your new raid account with a free copy of Rector Drath S tier, God tier, honestly, support champion, which you will unlock on your new account as soon as that account hits level 25. It's just one of the best promo links going for starting off a new raid Shadow Legends adventure. So if you're looking to start a new free-to-play account or something like that, then my promo link down below is just the best possible way to go ahead and do that. So there you go, boys. All right, man. On to the Sacred Order, and what are we looking at here? Sacred Order is one of those factions with a lot of rare champs. A lot of crap rare champs, I should say. Once again, we're not going to focus too hard on Ithel. I mean, you can use Templar to max out and manually kill Bommel, I think it is, which I wouldn't recommend doing it. It's a very, very long kill time, and you have to manual the fight because you can land a decreased speed on his AO1. So, I don't know. Would I recommend taking Templar up to 60? No, absolutely not. I will give a special shout out to Mother Superior. I feel like she's one of the better rare healers. She brings just a direct heal that heals for a percentage of Mother Superior's max HP, so you can build a nice and tanky, solid single target heal, and any surplus healing gets converted into a shield, which is great. And she also brings a continuous heal, and yeah, shield buff if your ally's health is already full. So she's just quite a solid little rare healer. Would you take her up to level 60? Almost certainly not. I'm just going to cop out here and just say Ethel. I've decided, man, none of these rare champs are really doing it for us, right? Not even the Voids, man. Yeah, it's just a very, very weak faction in terms of rares. I'm just gonna cop out and say Ethel, man. That's it. Next up, Barbarians. Now we get a saucy amount of pretty solid rare champs in here, man. Soul Bond, very, very good. War Maiden's great. Sentinel is really good. Damn, I think I'm gonna go for War Maiden, man. Just because she's so accessible. Like, who doesn't have a max level War Maiden? I feel like more players than not have a maxed out War Maiden, purely because of the 100% chance bucked of placing the strong version of decreased defense, and she's campaign farmable. She's so easy to grab, she's so easy to max out as a result. Yeah, War Maiden is just amazing, especially if your account is in its very, very early days. She's going to do a damn good job for you. Now, obviously, the big honorable mention, and maybe the best, actually, Barbarian Rare Champ is probably going to be Soulborn Boya. She's got an attack all on the A1 with an additional 25% chance of inflicting a crit. Yeah, you just put her in a stun set, build her out with 75% crit chance because all of her skills have an additional 25% chance of inflicting the crit, and that's it. She's just a stun machine with a very powerful A3 as well, it's got to be said. Attack one enemy, also has a 100% chance booked after a lot of reading, to be fair. Fully depleting the target's turn meter, that's also just a great single target skill on a 410 cooldown bucked, so that's fine, but mostly, she's probably the best stun set wearer in the game, to be honest. That said, I'm going to stick to my guns and stick with War Maiden for the Barbarians. Next up, the Oren Tribes. What do we got here, man? I mean, it's Bellower, right? Is anybody else here even? No, they're not. They're all absolutely... There's a guy just called Goon. Oh my god, Goon and Pounder, man. These goddamn ogres. Okay. Bellower. I mean, Bellower is what it's all about. Can be an incredible campaign farmer. What's his score, actually? Yeah, 4.9. He's an amazing campaign farmer because all of his skills are attack all enemies and do something else, like block active skills, or decrease speed, or decrease attack, and also decrease defense as well. Both weak versions, which is fine. He's a rare champ. Who cares if it's the weak versions? You can use him as campaign farmer. Again, he's another amazing candidate for stun sets. And yeah, that's Bellower. I don't think we've got to spend much time on him. Surely this one's going to be undisputed. Surely. Everybody can agree. Everyone agrees Bellower is awesome. Okay, next up we've got the Lizardmen. Just blasting through these now, man. Not many rares going, really, for the Lizardmen, to be honest. What picks have we got here? Is it really between, I guess, Haruspex and Teryx? Big shout out for Metal Shaper, of course. He has the shield buff that's bookable down to a 2-turn cooldown. Shield buff on all allies for a couple of turns. He could be very, very useful for getting you started into the earlier stages against Scarab King in Doom Tower, right? Because you've got to attack into Scarab King with a shield active, or he counterattacks everybody, and this is horrible and goes bad very, very quickly. So yeah, Metal Shaper is a very, very good budget option. You can just level him up to like level 40 or level 50, and he can do a job for you there, but that's kind of his only job. I think Teryx also deserves a shout out, to be fair. His A2 is just fantastic. It's really all about his A2. Attack all enemies, 75% chance booked of placing provoke debuff for 1 turn. I think the only issue with this is that it's only a 1-turn provoke, which is what you expect from a rare champ, of course. But even fully booked, it's a 4-turn cooldown. A 4-turn cooldown for just a 1-turn provoke. If this was bookable down to a 3-turn, I think that he would be in with a shout, would probably be one of the better rares, if not the best rare for Lizardmen, but alas, just lacking a little bit. I don't think that Haruspex is exactly an auto 6-star, max him up, all of that good stuff. What are his reviews like? God, his reviews are trash! His reviews are awful. What is this? He's going to be my pick. I don't even care. I'm going to fly in the face of the reviews, man. Purely because he is a rare quality reviver for the Lizardmen faction. And I think that that's very, very valuable, you know. Now, if you've already got an epic tier reviver for the Lizardmen, right? You've got yourself Broadmoor or whatever, and you've used the guy, then fair enough. Haruspex is going to be very, very low priority on your list, and maybe Teryx is your guy to take up to level 60. If you had to pick one, you know. God, actually. I'm talking myself out of this in real time. Because you confuse Broadmoor, then he's just your reviver, right? For Lizardmen. So, like, why would you ever... Okay, Haruspex is good to take to level 50, but not level 60. Oh, God. I've talked myself out of this in real time. I'm going to go with Teryx. Fine, I'm changing my mind. Haruspex is great. I love him. But yeah, Teryx, if you got to pick one, right? That's the game. You have to pick one to take to 60. I'm changing the rules right now on the fly, man. Whether you like it or not, you have to pick one. Next up, we've got the Skinwalkers faction. I don't think that this one is too difficult, really. I mean, Lammy-Bear, Channeler, Bloodhaunt. Like, Panthera is a pretty solid Fire Knight's Castle specialist. If you happen to pull randomly a Void Shard in the first, like, 30 days of playing Raid and you get a Panthera, yeah, level this thing, right? You might as well take it into Fire Knight. It's a decent little Fire Knight specialist, but let's be real, man. It's all about Nalhorn, right? Yeah, Nalhorn, simply because of the A2, right? It's a place a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. This one, unlike Teryx, is bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is great. Also because it's place a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. You're not attacking in and then there's a percentage chance to place a provoke. You're simply placing the provoke debuff, which means that the attack cannot weak hit against negative affinity enemies, which is just great. It just makes them very, very versatile into any kind of secret room, faction wars enemies, that kind of thing. And it also does bring a increased defense buff on himself as well for a couple of turns, which is just a nice little bonus. And then on the A3, he's able to place an unkillable buff on himself for a couple of turns as well. Again, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown. Just a very, very solid little tank. Can serve you very, very well into things like Magma Dragon in Doom Tower. He can even help out into the harder stages of Spider, just because, again, this provoke kind of can't miss, and so he's very, very good for helping to control up on the spiderlings. He can do actually quite a lot for a rare champ, and I think that if there's any that you got to pick to 6-star in the Skin Wars faction, I think that there's not too much competition there. Now, next up, the Orcs faction. Dude, this one is much, much harder. I mean, who am I fooling, right? We've got like Veteran, Totem, like these two, and they're not bad. They're not bad. They're like a 3 out of 5 kind of tier of quality champion, but you're not going to 6-star 3 out of 5 quality rare champion. I'm just going to cop out again and just go for Gallic. That's really it. Now, Gallic, if he's your starting champ, of course you automatically 6-star him. I think that if you pull Gallic from a shard, maybe in the first few months of your account, maybe you can justify taking him up to 6 stars. After that, it becomes pretty dubious, pretty doubtful that you're going to take the time to max him up, because you're probably just going to have something better to help you out in faction wars in terms of nukers and stuff. Gallic, is he... He's the only one that's worth considering. Let's just leave it at Gallic, man. Next up, Demonspawn. Ooh, there are a lot of Abyssal believers out there. There are a lot of folks who are big, big believers in Diabolist. I actually didn't take my Diabolist up to 6 stars. I just left her at 50, and I feel like that was fine. Petrifia, some people find use here as well. Hellborn Sprite, also fine. They've got some good rares in the Demonspawn's faction. Hellborn Sprite even finds some use in the Infinity Wixwell Clan Boss team. I actually have leveled up my Hellborn Sprite to 60. Maybe I'm crazy as hell for doing that, but I did. I think if there's an auto level 60 Demonspawn though, like, come on now, man. You know it's got to be Fellhound, right? Trouble, is it actually the fastest campaign farmer in the game? Just has very, very quick animations, good damage, the A1s and attack all enemies. Just make Fellhound your campaign farmer, and that's it, really. How can it not be a 5 out of 5? For campaign locations on the reviews, man? It's clearly the best campaign farmer in the game. Yeah, that's Fellhound, man. Next up, we have Undead Hordes, where I think there are a couple of potential candidates here, but I'm mostly just going to focus on the one that I think is most likely for most players. I'm going to go... I mean, I really, really like Grinner. By the way, Grinner's cool, he's tight, he's awesome. I'll eventually be taking mine up to level 50. He's currently level 40 right now. I think it's just got to be Frozen Banshee, right? She's just too good against Clan Boss, and with poison-based damage being by far the easiest way to put together a beginner team in Clan Boss, I just feel that statistically she's probably one of the most 6-starred rare champions in the game for that reason. So how can it not be Frozen Banshee? Just so many poisons, poison sensitivity. You disable at A2 when going into Clan Boss, because who the hell cares about that? You know, you just want to maximize as much damage as possible. A little bit of 10 meter fill isn't really going to help you out that much, and Frozen Banshee for Undead Hordes. Dark Elves is another super, super easy one. We don't really have to spend that much time on it. It's, of course, going to be Cold Heart. There's some good Dark Elves rares, don't get me wrong. Painkeeper is great. Finds use in a whole variety of comps. You can do some cheesy stuff with Paragon. Spirit Host is a damn solid champ, too. Some people swear by taking Spirit Host up to max level, just because of her block debuffs buff that she can throw up. And that's great, I agree. She's a lovely, jubbly little champ, but nothing is going to affect her account as much as good old Cold Heart, who is still used in some super, super late game accounts to this day. She's just crazy as hell. Quadruple hitter on the A1, which is just great. And then, of course, she's got the big old just boss deleter on the A3, which, yeah, damage increases according to enemy max HP. It completely deletes enemy 10 meter, gives her a lot of utility into a lot of different bosses. And even when it doesn't give you that 10 meter reduction utility, she's hitting for hundreds of thousands of damage. Are you kidding me, man? For a rare champ, yeah, she's probably just the best in the game. So quite an easy pick. Next up, Knight's Revenant. I think there's going to be some disagreement here, man. Some people really swear by Executioner. He's got some good 10-meter control, stocky defense-based champ. Solid, for sure. Coffin Smasher is some people's early option going into Clan Boss. Some people take him up to level 50 and leave him about there, and he does a job. For me, I think, oh man, I really like Torix as well. For me, I think I've got to, and dude, I've actually taken Crimson Slayer up to level 50 as well, and she's helping me out in Fire Knight too, so there's quite a few champs in here that you can make work, but I think it's just got to be Renegade. I think purely for her cooldown reduction skill here on the A3, so this is bookable down to a 5-turn cooldown, decrease the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. Dude, I mean, this is insane. This is crazy as hell. You just need a bit of healing on the team because this does damage her based on her max HP when she casts this skill. So you're going to need some healing on your teams, but you should have some healing on your teams anyway. And I think why Renegade is such a safe champ to take up to level 60 is because, frankly, with a skill like this, just deleting the cooldown on a bunch of your allied champion skills means that she scales based on the strength of the rest of your team. You know, like as long as she's alive and doing her job, you can kind of put her into almost any old team. It's just like an extra support or utility kind of champion, and she scales up with them just because of the nature of that skill. I think she's a very, very, very safe champ to take up to 60, though she can still do a good job for you as well, even left at level 50. And on to the final 3, we have the Dwarfs faction just squatting behind my head right here. The Dwarfs faction is, I don't know, quite a stacked one in the fact that there's just a lot of Dwarf champs. I'm a big fan of Candleguard. She's currently my dwarf damage dealer in Faction Wars. She's currently only at level 40, but I plan on taking her up maybe to level 50 until I find something better, of course, to replace her. And I mean, we've got Bulwark down here as well. There's big fans of Kerzad out there. For me, I think that if there's one that you want to be taken up to max, it's probably Master Butcher. Am I crazy as hell for thinking that? I think this guy is so good. He's so good. Like, unless you pull another champ or build another champ specifically to take on Dreadhorn Bommel in Doom Tower, and you're able to pull that off. Like, I managed to pull a Lady Annabelle. She's got a regeneration set. She solos Bommel for me, and I don't have to worry about it. But if I didn't have a champ that could solo Bommel for me, Master Butcher would be my next best option, just because of his passive, right? So when attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken, does not work against bosses, but Bommel summons bombs during the fight, which don't count as bosses, and so when they explode and hit the rest of your team, Master Butcher heals up the same amount, right? So as long as he has the most health on your team, you just can't die against Bommel. He's one of those cheat code champions who will always out-heal Bommel's damage, pretty much no matter what, unless it's like a one-shot, which, I mean, just shouldn't happen. And yeah, to ensure that he has the most health on your team, you probably want to take him up to level 60 if he is your answer going into Bommel Dreadhorn. Next up, we've got the Shadowkin, who actually have some pretty garbage rares. Actually, they don't even have that many, man, but I feel like, wow, dude. So the Shadowkin and the Sylvan Watchers are two of the newer factions, of course. I feel like the Sylvan Watchers' power level in terms of their rare champs is kind of crazy. It's kind of mental, right? It's nuts for the few amount of rares that they have. The Shadowkin's rares kind of suck. Like, Life Taker's okay. Is there like a super early option to maybe help out a little bit into Fire Knight? Got like a triple hitter action, bit of 10-meter reduction, and like a reflect buff. But it's only on herself, so it's not that useful into Fire Knight, you know? She's not exactly a Fire Knight specialist over here, is what I'm saying. And that kind of just leaves us, I think, with Odachi, who is fine. Odachi's okay, right? He's got a chance to place Provoke on his A1. That's great. He's got an attack all enemies and then shield himself up on his A2. That's fine. And then he just bring a block debuffs buff on all allies for 110, plus an increased defense buff on all allies for 110, bookable down to a 310 cooldown. So it's a little bit of something, you know? He's not completely worthless. Should you be 6-starring this guy? Probably not, but again, if I had to pick one of these rares to take up to 6 stars, I feel like Odachi would probably give the most value over time. And that is, of course, into Faction Wars, Secret Rooms, that kind of thing. And not much else, to be honest, unless I'm forgetting something. And finally, the Sylvan Watchers, where the goats of rare champions lie. Honestly, man, dude, Margrave is solid. Like, this is a decent little rare over here. The Bowsmith Flannan is great. Is Terlak any good? I mean, you know what? Terlak is quite good too, man. It's going to attack all enemies on the A2, place a weak version, albeit of increased speed, on all allies for a couple of turns. He brings a Veil buff to all allies as well, of course, except himself. For 110 on the A3, also place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns equal to 20% of this champ's max HP. he's actually not bad at all. I think, however, the crown has to be slammed on the head of Tree Shield Not. Yeah, I mean, he's just great. If you pull him early on, he's got a triple hitter on the A1, so he can help you out with that early finite progression, which is nice. But yeah, he scales into the later areas of the game as well through the rest of his skills. Decent healing and increased defense on his A2, which is fine. And one of the only epic champs in the game that actually has a double revive. This time on his A3, also places shield buff on all revived allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of their maxed HP, bookable down to a 5-turn cooldown. Yeah, he's great. You'll be using him in secret rooms, you'll be using him in faction wars, and if I had to pick 1 to 6 star, it would almost definitely be the Not. In fact, I actually did pull him, and I probably will eventually be 6 starring him in due time, but I'm in no rush for that, man. I got other priorities to deal with first. And alright guys, did you agree with the picks? Let me know down below. And if you think I'm sleeping on a particularly insanely powerful rare champ, let me know that down below as well, man. As before, if you're looking to start off a new raid account, then make sure you do so by clicking on my promo link down below at the top of the video description to jumpstart that new account with a free copy of Rector Drath as soon as your account hits level 25. One of the best epic support champs in the game, guaranteed to get a long time, Christ, years of use out of your Rector Drath should you start your new account using that link. So make sure you go ahead and do that. For now, do enjoy the rest of your night, and we're going to catch all of you guys just a tad bit later, man.